morning students. Today we are going to study about the topic friction. Okay, what is meant by friction? Have you all heard a word friction? Okay, now we are going to study about friction. Take page number 146. Okay, take book page number 146. A moving ball on a ground stopping after some time. Because of what? The moving ball is stopping in last end. If you are sitting in a room means, if you are moving on ball means the ball moves faster and at the end it becomes slow. Why it becomes slow and stop? Because of friction. Okay, then the next example is we slip when we step on the banana peel, right? See the picture, ma. 12.1. One boy is step on a banana peel. Then he falls down because there is a friction. There is a smooth surface. Then it's difficult to walk on a smooth and wet floor. If you walk in the wet floor also we slip, right? There also some friction. Then force of friction always opposes what? Applied force. Okay, if we are applying a force, for example, if we are applying a force, the ball is moving from one end to another end, we are applying a force, right? While we are applying a force, it is faster. At the end, it becomes slow and stop. Right, ma? It is friction. Then about spring balance. Spring balance is a device used for what? Measuring the force acting on an object. Okay. Spring balance is a device for measuring the force acting on an object. Okay. It consists of coiled spring. See the picture? It consists of what? Coiled spring which gets stretched when a force is applied to it. Okay. If you apply a force means the spring will be stretched. The stretching of spring is measured by a pointer moving on a gratitude scale. Okay. See the picture, there is a scale. If you apply a force, then the spring will be stretched. Then we measure the pointer moving on a gratitude scale. The reading on the scale give the magnitude of the force. Okay. Spring balance is a device used for measuring what? Force acting on an object. It consists of coiled spring. See the picture? There is one spring, right? It is coiled spring which gets stretched when the force is applied. The stretching of spring measured by what? Pointer moving on a gratitude scale. While we hang a force, when we apply a force, the pointer, in the pointer we observe the measure. Okay, the reading on the scale give the magnitude of the force. Okay, the reading of the scale give what? Magnitude of the force. The measurement of the force. Okay, ma? Then next. Activity 1. Take page number 147. Activity 12.2. Tie a string around a brick. Okay. It is an example of spring balance. Okay. Tie a string around a brick. Brick is a force. We are tying a string around a brick. Pull the brick by a spring balance. Okay. Pull the brick on a spring balance. Then note down the reading on the spring balance. When the brick just belows to move, it gives measure of the force of friction between the surface of the brick and the floor. Okay. It gives you a measure of a force of friction between the surface of the brick and also floor. Okay, wrap a piece of polythene around the brick and repeat the activity. Once more, we repeat the activity and see the measure. Okay, first we want to tie a string around a brick, then pull a brick by a spring balance. Okay, it is if you want to hang it on the spring balance. Note the reading. The spring balance, when the brick just begins to move, means it gives you a measure of the floor. Okay, it begins to move because of the weight. It begins to move means we want to measure the force of friction between the surface of the brick and also floor. Okay, then we want to wrap a piece of polythene paper around the brick and see the activity and the reading once more. Okay, is there any difference between the first activity and also second? Second, we are covering the brick with what? Polythene paper. Then the next topic is factors affecting friction. Okay, take page number 148. Factors affecting what? Friction. A friction is caused by the irregularities on the two surfaces in contact. Okay, friction is what? Is caused by the irregularities on the two surface in contact. Okay, it is irregularity in the two surface in contact. On rough surface, there are a large number of irregularities. If the surface is rough, means there is large number of irregularities. Okay, so the force of friction is greater if a rough surface is involved. If the rough surface is involved, there is force of friction is what? Is greater. Okay, the force required to overcome friction at the instant an object start moving from rest is a measure of static friction. Okay, the force required to overcome friction, the object starts moving from rest is a measure of static friction. Okay, then the force required to keep the object moving with the same speed is a measure of sliding friction. Okay, the force required to keep the object moving. If you are moving an object, the same speed is measured of sliding friction. Sliding friction is slightly smaller than the static friction. Okay, force is caused by the irregularities on the two surface. Okay, two surface. The next topic is factors affecting friction. Friction is caused by the irregularities on the two surfaces in contact. Okay. Even those surfaces which appear very smooth have larger number of minute irregularities on them. Okay. Irregularities on the two surfaces lock into one another. Friction is caused by irregularities on the two surface. One is smooth, one is irregularity. Okay. It is rough surface. Okay. Then when we attempt to move any surface, we have to apply what? Force to overcome. Interlocking. Okay, the rough surface, there are large number of irregularities in the rough surface. So the force of friction is greater if the rough surface is involved. Okay, in the rough surface there is more larger irregularities. So there is a what? Force of friction is greater in the rough surface. Okay, then the force required to keep the object moving with the same speed is a measure of sliding friction. In the sliding area, the smooth surface, smooth sliding area, if we apply a force, means the object moves very speed. Okay, in the sliding friction. The sliding friction is slightly smaller than the static friction. Okay ma, here page number 148, here there is an activity. See there ma, If in a slide surface, if we apply a force, means what happened there? The applying force and the object moves very faster in the slide surface. In the rough surface, the object goes slowly. So there is a greater what? Friction applied in the force. Okay. Then the next topic is friction. The next topic is friction, necessary evil. Okay. Hold a kulhar or a glass tumbler. Okay. Kulhar means what? Earthen part. Okay. It is a part. Then if it is possible to hold the glass at all if there is no friction, it is difficult to move on a wet muddy track or wet marble floor. We imagine, okay, if you walk on a wet muddy floor or wet muddy track or wet marble floor, it is difficult to walk all if there were no friction. Okay. Then the next example is writing with chalk on a blackboard. If it is rough surface, rub off some chalk particles which stick to the blackboard, right? If it is smooth surface means, if you rub it means if there is no chalk particles in the stick, right? Then there is no friction between the chalk and the board. If there is no friction between the chalk and the board, what happens? If an object started moving, it would never stop if there were no friction. Okay, if there is no friction, if an object start moving, means it never stop, right? If there is a friction, if we move an object, means the object may be stop. If there is no friction, the object never stop. Okay, ma? Then without friction, no building could be constructed, right? If there is no friction, there is no building should be constructed. Then when you stick a matchstick around against the rough surface, it catches what? Fire, right? When you strike a matchstick against the rough surface means it catches fire easily, right? It is because of what? Friction. When a machine is operated, heat generated causes what? Wastage of energy, right ma? When a machine is operated, what happened? Heat generated. So it is there is a wastage of what? Energy. If we are rubbing our palms, what happened? We feel warm. We are applying one force, right? It is also because of what? Friction. Okay, ma? That's all about today's topic. What we discussed today? About force of friction, then spring balance, then what? Example of spring balance, then factors affecting what? Friction. Okay ma, that's all about today's topic. Next class we discuss about the remaining topic.